Hello and welcome back to my channel again. This video will be a bit different as the topic here is not firstly sim racing related, as I am taking a closer look at an audio feature called Sidetone or mic pass-through, mic monitoring, live monitoring, direct monitoring, and it's also called free monitoring. The thing is that I just want to hear my own voice through my mic on my analog closed back headset without any delay. How hard can it be? It turned out to be somewhat troublesome. If you want to skip forward for a particular section, there is timestamps in the description below. Okay, let's do this. The road has been quite long searching for the best solution that can add sidetone to my analog Beyerdynamic MMX 300 V2 headset with an old-fashioned 3.5mm jack. I did not want to make any compromises by changing my choice of headset, and the same for the overall audio and mic quality. I was looking for a complete audio solution with sidetone suitable for both gaming and music listening, fulfilling my rather high needs. To be honest, having or not having sidetone is a non-issue for most people, and some perhaps don't even know that zero latency sidetone exists. But my guess is that we are a bunch sitting in the same boat here, and as I found this to be a problem, surely I can't be alone. So, sidetone is an audio feature that allows you to listen to your own voice when talking through a mic inside a headset or a headphone. This is very useful when using a noise cancelling headphone or especially a closed back headset, which are the most common for gaming nowadays. Those seals off the surroundings and the ability to hearing your voice naturally and not being able to listen to your own voice when chatting with friends while gaming can feel weird, spooky and unpleasant. This sidetone feature is often integrated into modern USB-based closed back wireless headsets, as those got electronic and DSP amps on board, and when using an semi or an open back headset, sidetone is not necessary, as you can hear yourself talking anyway thanks to the transparent design. There are rather good options for open back headset and headphones on the market today, and I have owned pairs from Sennheiser and Philips, and even if they all were awesome in many ways and I did hear my own voice when using a mic, I still prefer a pair of quality closed back headsets for both gaming and music, and hey, I guess that's why we are all here. Let's get into the different solutions. First, in Windows there is a feature in the audio control panel called Listening to this device, and that is mainly designed for mic quality test purposes and not suitable for longer listening sessions. The reason is because it adds so much latency it's unusable and basically ruins your life. I then tested adding the sidetone feature by adding a software called Virtual Audio Cable (VAC), and despite digging deep into the settings by changing things like the total buffer in MS, buffer patch, prefill, resync and priority, I finally gave up. I just couldn't get it being totally lag-free. The degree of difficulty and learning curve was high too, and running the software resulted in hogging my CPU, which I read potentially could cause Windows to freeze, so I uninstalled it. Then I gave the well-known program Voicemeeter Banana a try, which is also using the virtual audio cable method. And even if that too worked to some extent, I could not get rid of the latency and I sounded like a recording of my own voice. I believe there are clear limitations of what pure software can achieve here, because the signal has to go through the operating system before it comes back into our ears. Audio-specific drivers such as ASIO, which can increase the efficiency of our computer's ability to handle audio production, did not help either. So, hardware-based solutions were up next, and I bought two of the most popular gaming DAC amps combos on the market that got the sidetone effect. The Sennheiser or EPOS GSX 1000 was a step up in terms of audio quality from my onboard PC audio solution, But even if the Sidetone feature was there and doing fine with the 3 possible volume levels, neutral, low and high, the overall audio experience did not impress me. Because the mic input had some aggressive noise cancelling going on in the background, so my voice sounded unnatural and lacked clarity and details. I use the NVIDIA Broadcast for my choice of background removal, and it's doing a much better job in comparison. And I just want the clean initial mic input because that is also what I hear inside my headset. And the total power output on this unit was not enough. I just couldn't reach the volume I wanted with a low level of distortion. Then I tried the Creative Sound Blaster X4, and that had a better mic input than the GSX1000, and the Sidetone feature had a useful volume slider in the software, but the letdown here as well was the poor total power output. I do believe that my Beyerdynamic MMX 300 scales well and benefits from additional power, and these two DAC amps just don't have the juice for it. Sure, both the X4 and the GSX1000 DAC amps would be good enough for most people for gaming purposes with a mid-range headset, and to be honest, that's what they are intended for. But when listening to music, the overall clarity, instrument separation, layering, definition and dynamic range was not there. After that, I decided to go another direction by testing out 3 of the best USB-based gaming headsets on the market that have Sidetone built in digitally, and see if the audio quality is up for the task once and for all. The wireless SteelSeries Arctis Pro and the wired planar magnetic driven HyperX Cloud Orbit S and the wired SteelSeries Arctis Pro GameDAC. They all turned out to be surprisingly good in the audio department and good enough for gaming, but not good enough for music listening, even if they came very close. The Sidetone was there and working okay on all the headsets, but on the SteelSeries headset it was a bit troublesome to get a sustainable volume of the Sidetone, as the mic was a bit flimsy and did not stay in the position I wanted. On the HyperX there was a static buzz in the microphone and a white noise in the background that I couldn't get rid of. The 3 headsets had also way too small ear cups for my liking, and the lack of the overall comfort made my search for the best Sidetone audio solution continued. There are of course other brands of headsets from Logitech, Razer, Asus, Corsair, Astro Gaming among others, compatible with delivering Sidetone that would be fine in most cases, but I can't test them all, and feel free to comment below if you have any Sidetone experience from other headsets. Next up, it was time to try a cheap and small USB sound card from Antlion that I've heard could work more just for the fun of it. And the audio was far from okay and rather butchered, and I could add a bit delayed Sidetone in the audio control panel in Windows, but oh my god, that high noise floor of hum and hiss made it unlistenable. I choose not to test any more USB sound cards, as I kind of knew that software-based Sidetone often will have flaws in terms of latency. After that, I tried out the more audio interface oriented Rode AE1, and the thing with these devices are that they are made for basic instrument recordings and podcasts, and have both a mic preamp and a dedicated headphone amp built in, and Sidetone of course, as we want to hear what we are recording. The Rode AE1 does not have a 3.5mm mic input, so I had to get the XLR Plus adapter to get it up and running, and compared to Sennheiser and Creative devices, this was a big step up in terms of audio and mic quality. The Sidetone could also be tuned more easily by adjusting the volume by turning a knob and not by software. So far so good, but eventually small issues arise. It was difficult to have a good balance of volume and a low noise floor, and sometimes the unit just started clipping and had weird static noise. My guess is that the mic input here that have the 48V phantom power is suitable to drive bigger condenser microphones, just don't work well with standard 3.5mm microphones used on my headset, despite it had some auto features. So no luck. I then stumbled on a forum post at Linus Tech Tips called Creating a Headset the Sidetone Problem, and I realized I was not alone indeed to seek a solution about this. I read for instance that standalone USB DAC microphones as the Blue Yetis could have zero latency Sidetone working when plugging a 3.5mm headset directly into the mic itself. But as I already have a mic on my headset and don't want to use a bigger condenser mic, I continued reading. This could though be a good solution for many users, even if it have its limitations. Later in the thread, I was introduced to the Behringer Xenyx 302 USB audio interface and mixer, and finally I have found my Sidetone friend, and it turned out that the audio capabilities in this little device were great as well, and that despite its rather shy specs of just 16-bit max resolution and a max sample rate at 48 kHz. This German-built audio interface for $50 was capable of delivering sufficient quality audio levels we will ever really need. The Sidetone feature was flawless too, with absolutely zero latency thanks to the analog input with no software, and it just worked out of the box as I wanted. And I used this device with a happy smile for around 6 months, because then I found an even better overall audio solution. I tested out the more expensive gaming and streaming focused audio interface, the TC-Helicon GO XLR Mini, and here we got a bump up in the audio specs, preamp and the overall functions. Even if the Behringer was impressive in its audio capabilities, this was better. The mic noise floor was lower and the overall distortion as well, and despite that the Sidetone here is digitally processed by an ADC converter and controlled by software, the latency is as low as it can be, much thanks to good optimized drivers. We can talk milliseconds back and forth, and to be fair, the Sidetone here compared to the Behringer has a tiny delay, but it's not noticeable when gaming. Believe me, it's fine. And the ability to change the volume of different applications independently, integrated EQ for the mic, functions like compressor and gate, customizable RGB and other stuff makes this device a great value and my first choice. For music listening, the GO XLR Mini will not disappoint either. Just use whatever headset or headphone and a glass of a favorite something beside you and enjoy. Our needs are different, and my findings and recommendations here is subjective, so take them as a guidance. There are for sure more Sidetone solutions that I haven't mentioned that got sorted out during my research. For an example, the creative Sound Blaster GC7 could potentially work, and also the gaming-focused audio interface like the Audient Evo products and the Elgato Wave XLR are very interesting, and all can definitely be worth a try. But my testing is done and I have reached the end of this journey. As a conclusion, my suggestion is to skip the pure software-based Sidetone solutions and aim for the hardware solutions instead. Consider the gaming DACs and the USB headsets, but save some time and effort and go for the audio interface product first. From there, we will have full control over every audio chain with no need for compromises. The Behringer Xenyx 302 USB have the best Sidetone feature I tested, but the GO XLR Mini is the most complete Sidetone audio solution suitable for both gaming and music listening, and therefore takes the crown and gets my first pick. Alright, time for some closing thoughts, as Sidetone, as I stated in the beginning, is called differently by manufacturers. It's not helping us consumer to find it. And I really can't grasp that Sidetone is not more prioritized by the bigger brands and being pushed more forward as a competitive gaming feature. It's so simple and useful, and I wish you all folks sitting with a favorite analog headset or headphone with a 3.5mm green connection the best of luck finding your best Sidetone solution. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and stay tuned for more videos here on Front Seat Racing.